Oh my gosh, that was embarrassing. Sorry about that. Thank you for letting me know. Hopefully, you can hear me now. I don't know why I was on mute. What a weird thing. Sorry about that. So, yeah, I was saying that welcome to Supercharged Fridays. I hope you're doing well. And my apologies, I've logged in a few minutes late. Um, and if you were waiting, I apologize. I kind of dropped a little bit of hot water on my fingers. So I was just taking care of it. Luckily, nothing serious. So, yes, welcome to Supercharged Fridays. And if we haven't met before, thank you. Sound is back. Appreciate that. If we haven't met before, my name is Sonal Behel. I am a career coach and formerly used to be in human resources for several years, for the better part of 2 decades, and have worked in India, South America, and Europe. And what I do today is help people who are going through transitions in their career. Sometimes those transitions are by choice, and sometimes they're not. So we work out a plan, and we help. I help them find their next opportunity, which is better than what they had before. They earn better. The role is more meaningful. The industry is something that they want to be associated with. All of that good stuff. So, thank you for tuning in. This is another sort of open office hours. You're welcome to bring your questions. And while I wait for that, I have a question already that I received anonymously this morning, and I will be addressing that. But while I do that, I did want to I had a few thoughts, because if you're watching me today, you know that it is International Women's Day. So I have some thoughts that I wanted to share, like a little bit of a rant, while I am kind of like yeah, TED talk, but a little bit like ranting, not necessarily a very positive one. Thank you for tuning here. Hi, Tina. Thank you to you as well. Thank you. Perfect, perfect. So I wanted to talk a little bit about International Women's Day, and I think that first of all, why is International Women's Day? Why is it marked today? I don't want to say why is it celebrated, because celebration has become a bit of a marketing gimmick. It has become performative, meaning companies do something once a year, and then the rest of the year they don't necessarily treat those very same women with the respect they deserve. Like, everybody deserves to be treated with respect, right? So I've seen so many cases. Just yesterday, a client of mine was speaking to me about this, and they're like, oh, the CEO dropped in, took a picture with all the women, didn't speak with anyone. A lot of those policies are not benefiting everyone. I'm like, what is the point of this? It's become a major PR stunt. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you agree with this. Because I also want to see your point of view. And you know, essentially, the day isn't even about women going out for a lunch, women being given flowers at work. It isn't even about that, right? The day actually was started for women's rights. And women's rights have come so far, even in like 100 years. Less than 100 years ago, women in many countries could not vote. So, vote, buy land, buy property, buy credit cards, buy a house without their father, without their husband's permission. All of that stuff is good. It's much better than what it was before, women's rights. But in many ways, women's rights are not at the same level as men's rights, right? So, essentially, this day is not, in my opinion, about giving flowers to a woman saying just thanks for existing. you know there's nothing I've done to earn that, just happened to be born a woman. So for me, this isn't about that. There's so many aspects to this. There's the intersectional aspect. If you know women, and you are a woman or you're a man, whoever you are, whoever you identify with, right? It's not just one type. There's different sections. Think about a Venn diagram, right? For example, you are advocating for women. You're advocating for women's equality, but maybe there's one type of woman you're advocating for. Let me explain, right? In the Western world, particularly in countries that are dominated by white people, they are called women of color. Women of color meaning women who are not white. For us in Asia, Africa, everyone's got melanin, everyone's got color, right? But there are people who are not thought about, who are not in mainstream, who are not, when you think about an invention, when you think about a book, when you think about the greatest speakers, you think about a chef, all of these things are sort of dominated by men. Women are overlooked a lot. And it's not just, okay, in the Western world, women of color. But for example, I'll give you an example of India, right? Someone who has privilege would be someone who's wealthy, who comes from a little bit more money than the average person, who lives in a nice part of town, has a nice car, right? And it goes even deeper than that. It goes with our appearance. You are lighter in skin color because the world we live in many parts of Asia, this is very true. Many parts of Asia, many parts of Africa. If you're lighter skinned, you're given a little bit more preferential treatment. What about people who are darker skinned? So that is one example. Another example is if you belong to the dominant structure, if you belong to the dominant religion, you automatically don't realize you have a lot of privilege. What about people who come from others? What about people who come from a lower class, lower caste? That is intersectional. We have to think about those women as well. We cannot only advocate for one type of woman. If we are saying free, just as an example, but a very relevant example in today's world, if we are saying free the hostages in Israel, we also have to shout with the same level, with the same volume about people who are struggling in Gaza. Because if we're not, there is a level of double standard and hypocrisy. That intersectional feminism, that is what it's about, in my opinion, right? You guys may not agree with this. I may even get unfollowed today. That's okay. That's okay. In fact, I just did. I just got a comment. You don't have to announce that you're unfollowing someone. You can just leave. This is not an airport. You're very welcome to leave. I don't really care. Doesn't matter. It's good to have people who want to learn, and who don't agree. That's okay. Another thing I wanted to say as part of my rant is people who say, no, don't get me wrong, I'm not a feminist. Do we even know what the word feminism means? It's the equality. It's equality to be to be treated at the same level as men. So by definition, we are all feminists. We don't know it. And if you say, oh, no, I'm not a feminist, you're saying basically you're against women. You are a feminist if you want equality. If you follow me, there's a good chance you are a feminist, because I don't necessarily, I have very sort of liberal views on these things. So we got to stop saying that. I see this on social media. Oh my God. Oh, no. I've seen like celebrities say this. Oh, no, that doesn't mean I'm a feminist. What does that mean? Like, people don't know the definition of feminism. So when people say, oh my gosh, I'm not a feminist, they sound like idiots because they don't know. It's okay. In the beginning, even I didn't know, and I sounded like an idiot. But the point is, we got to learn. We got to learn. I'm going to pause my rant. Of course, colorism exists. Absolutely. Performative and virtue signaling. Virtue signaling. And what a good question, Tina. How can we support women the rest of the year as well? Tina, feel free to share if you have ideas. And anybody else in the comments, feel free to share. Especially women that you know are doing good work, who are overlooked. Obviously, think about them the rest of the year. Advocate for them. Because when we lift others, we rise. And we don't just lift one type of person who looks like us or sounds like us, but all, because that is progress. Otherwise, it's selfish, greed, and capitalistic. And that is not what it's about. It's not, I'm not looking at people and like, oh yeah, come follow me. Let's talk. You're not welcome. You're not. No, this is about helping everyone, particularly those who are marginalized, because people who are marginalized and overlooked by society, when they get help, do you know what happens? They help. The ripple effect is unbelievable, because they know what it's like to come from nothing and to help others. And another thing I wanted to say related to this, let me know what you think about this. But for me, equality, when we say equality at work, it also, there is no way we can ignore the equality at home. The chances are, if you're watching this, you know a woman, you are a woman, or you're married to a woman who is carrying an, an equally large amount of workload at home, which is called a second shift after work is over. Whether it's childcare, whether it's chores around the house, whether it's laundry, cleaning, cooking, all of that stuff, right? That is not progress, because you can have the most liberal sounding male CEO, but when he is going home, and if his wife is full time in paid work and is taking the lion's share of home responsibilities, that does not work. Not right? That doesn't work. Um, yeah. And what specific actions can you take? Okay, I'm going to get to that in a second, but I'll almost finish. I promise, I'm almost finished with my rant. I saw a very interesting chart today about what happens when a woman becomes pregnant. What happens to her career? So it's like it's been like this. Maybe she was at the height of her career. Maybe she gets pregnant in the early 30s or something, and she's doing really really well. And then the baby comes, and then it sort of the career slumps a little bit, and it doesn't quite go back to where it was. But when it does go back to where it was, it takes years and years. And they show the same chart. What happens to a man's career? Nothing bad happens. Only good things happen, in fact. Which is idiotic if we think about it. Second time I'm using the word idiot, right? Except for those 3, 6, 9, whatever months of breastfeeding. Pregnancy, people are working, right? Women are working. It's not that. I remember somebody wrote on Supercharged Fridays a couple of years ago, and she said, people are treating me like I've had a lobotomy. No, I'm pregnant. I'm not handicapped. I'm fine. I'm not disabled. And even disabled people work, right? So it's not the motherhood penalty. It's not that, it's the penalty given by workplaces that are not equitable and that have a crap work culture. And the systems are not in place to help that woman. That's the whole problem. And that is not a work problem, that's a society problem. Can you imagine? Lots and lots of youngsters now. Have you guys heard this? Tell me in the comments. Have you heard this? A lot of young couples are saying we're not interested in kids anymore. I can't afford it. There's a cost of living crisis. I'd rather get a dog. All no no. I'm not throwing any shade. I completely understand that. But can you imagine if a lot more people start thinking like this? Like, we have enough people in the world today, but if this spreads, right, what happens to society? There's a large aging population, and that is going to keep going up. Whereas the population of youngsters, so over a period of time, long term, it has very difficult consequences, right? Lastly, International Women's Day is not, we need to ban some words. I'm not a fan of them. Okay. Many people are. Mompreneurs. If you're going to say mompreneurs, say dadpreneurs. If you're going to say a working mom, say working dad. If you're going to say female CEO, then say male CEO. Otherwise, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. All right. What can we do? Right? What can we do, Royston? What are specific actions we can take to accelerate towards gender equality? Okay. Feel free to share in the comments. Okay. I'm not an expert on this topic by any means. I think take a woman's name when she's not in the room. When you know someone has done good work and people aren't advocating for her, take her name, whether it's in front of her or it's behind her back. Take her name and say, why don't we talk to Anita? This is actually Anita's work. Don't let other people take credit for her work, right? Um, Individually, we don't think we can do much. We can do a lot. We can do a lot. Highlight someone's work that you admire, whether it's on LinkedIn, social media, give them credit. Say, why do you admire this person? Why do you follow this person? Right? And recommend them on LinkedIn. Send them a recommendation, send them an endorsement. Speak up when the time comes for promotion and you see the same type of man again and again getting promoted. Maybe not the same man, but the same type. It's like a year later, it's like, wow, nothing really changed. Take her name. Take her name in a room of decision makers. Um, and one of the best ways we can do this is also learn, right? So read books. If there's a particular topic you love, there will be female authors. You may not be out there because mainstream media loves to publish authors by successful men. It's a fact. It hasn't changed much. You guys know the story of J.K. Rowling, right? The lady who wrote Harry Potter. And the reason she said J.K. Rowling, she didn't take her full name, J.K. She took the abbreviation, is because she knew that if she published with her real name, nobody would buy her because everybody had told her that. So it's a fact, right? So yes, collaborate, highlight people who become an ally. It doesn't have to be complicated, right? um, the difference between like an ally, an advocate, and a person who's coming from the side is an ally is willing to take the heat. It's uncomfortable work, but very, very rewarding. Very rewarding, right? We don't advocate for one. And remember that my biggest thing that I want to say this, and then I'm done with this one, is if you take anything away from today, it's intersectional. Because otherwise, what is happening a lot, particularly in the West, have you guys heard of something called white feminism? White feminism. Women who are promoting each other, they all look the same. And what is happening with the same type of thing in Eastern societies, right? So if I'm Indian, I'm Punjabi, I'm light skinned, I ran a business, I will promote others who are like me. We are leaving out people who are marginalized, who are at the sidelines. That is not progress. That's not progress. It's very selfish. Okay, I'm done. I promise. So, this was my take on International Women's Day. And it is not International Women's Day. That is the whole title of today's live video. It's International Day of Women's Rights. International Day of Women's Rights. If you enjoy certain rights today, whatever gender you are, is because somebody fought for those rights all those years ago. However, there are still people today in your society who don't enjoy those very rights. Think about them. Think about them. All right. Thank you for like being patient. We shall now progress to the question part of our morning, afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. And what are the other things you can do to support women, right? Feel free to put this in the comments as well. The idea of celebrating Women's Day itself is anti feminist. Yeah, that's very interesting, Royston. Tell me more about this. Tell me where you're coming from. I'd like to hear more. I really appreciate this. Hi, Gurpreet. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, even though happy International Women's Day, like, I don't know how to respond to that. Happy birthday, happy anniversary, but I don't know about this day. And somebody told me this morning, but this is very funny. What about men? What about Men's Day? First of all, that's 19th of November. Okay. Secondly, we we live in patriarchy. Every day is Wednesday. Every day. Really? Yeah. I was like, when I heard that, I was like, really? Really? Um, children are expensive. Yeah, about not having kids, right? It's not a joke. Yes, absolutely. Hey Sajid, thank you for being here. Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. Okay, amazing. So I have a question here. And if you guys have any career questions, I'm going to be online for a few minutes and let's help you. Thank you for being here live with me. If you're watching me live, I appreciate you. This is really, really good, this conversation. Thank you for like letting me rant in your ears. So I got a very upsetting message actually today. It was like a whole page, and I obviously can't share the entire thing with you. But I asked her to summarize it for me. So she had a really, really nasty experience with a recruiter, And there was a lot of back and forth. And essentially, what happens towards the end is they kind of pointed fingers at her and said that she didn't do what she was supposed to do, but she checked. She didn't receive any communication. So there was like, oh, you have to do these tests, but she never got an email, she never got a link. And they said, oh, there must be a glitch. She checked her spam, she checked everything. And there's been a lot of finger pointing, and it left her with a very, very bad taste in her mouth, right? So if she's watching, if you're watching me live right now, and I told you I'd address this during the live stream, I'm really sorry that this happened. And I know this happened over several weeks. And I know you also said that there were other opportunities and you put them on hold because you were interested in this one. Listen, what I will say is, um, there's a famous person, I don't remember who, feel free to tell me in the comments. They say when a person shows you their true colors, please believe them. Okay. I think that again and again, it sounds like you have been lied to. You have been lied to. And even when they denied it, that was also a lie. The recruiter could be that it's a one bad apple. But if you're hearing this from recruiter and the hiring manager and everyone else, then it is telling you something about a culture which is possibly toxic. Okay. And I know the word toxic gets thrown around a lot. However, if it's just this one bad apple, see if you can go through the side. The front door looks shut right now. They're weird. See if you can go through the side door and see if you can get an introduction or if you can reach out and introduce yourself to the hiring manager. But do not come from a place of negativity. Do not come from a place of victimhood, even though you're feeling like this right now. Okay. There's a possibility that this may not work because you've been blacklisted or the hiring manager is not reachable. You don't know who it is, whatever. What can you do? You were asking me, and I know that you're very hurt right now. What I recommend is, what I recommend not to do is um, spend any more time on this. This has been so nasty for you. I know that you're upset, but do not stay here, because the more time you stay here, you're wasting your energy on time on something that honestly was outside your control, with a bunch of jerks. Okay, what you can do is go to Glassdoor and leave them I will tell you this. Okay, leave them the worst review of your life and tell them what happened. Don't give your name. You can keep it anonymous. Obviously, Glassdoor is very particular about that because you don't want anybody else to go through this experience. And if they didn't want this Glassdoor type of bad review, they shouldn't have been like this with you. It's okay. And if a friend asks you, say, yeah, oh, no, 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 that was a horrible comment. Do that. Companies don't realize when it's a bad experience, one person will tell 9 people, and those 9 will tell another 9. But don't be petty and stay here. Move on. Okay. This is a way to get it. If you really want to get it out of your system, leave them a nasty review and leave it and move on. Because the more you stay here, the more you are attracting that type of you're attracting that type of negative energy. Dr. Maya Angelou said that when people show you their true colors, believe them. Thank you, Christine. I appreciate that. It is such a red flag. It is such a red flag, right? And really don't. It's not worth staying here. It's not worth staying here mentally, because it's taking up space in your head rent free. This experience is taking up space in your head rent free. Don't let it. Don't let it. At least it should be paying you something. And if it isn't, leave it. All right. Anything else? Any other questions? Any other comments? Anything I can help with? One final thing. It's been a couple of weeks, but I have a couple of signups, but I'm still actively looking for students for my group. So if you are currently in active job search mode and need help, I have a step-by-step system over 12 weeks. And if you want to work with kindred spirits who have your back, who see progress every week, who are ambitious just like you, think about think about applying to my group coaching program called the Job Search System, superchargeyourself.com/job search system. Feel free to apply. It's free to apply. Okay. And that will also give you a link if you want to schedule one on one with me and see if this is the right program for you. I can answer your questions, but the link will already have all the information you need. And if this is something that you think could help you, I'd love to work with you. But don't make that commitment yet. Apply and let us get on a call. Let us get on a call sometime next week and see if what exactly your needs are and whether this program will suit your needs. So I understand, Sonal. Take a look if this program is the right fit for you. All right. 8th of March, I am signing off. If there are no other questions, I appreciate you coming to my TED Talk to talk about not International Women's Day, especially if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn right now. Your feed is inundated with flowers and all the performative virtue signaling crap. I thought I'll give you a little bit of a breath of fresh air and talk about it from a different point of view. I appreciate you joining me live, and if you're catching me on the replay, put in the comments #replay so I know that you were here. I can show you some love. And until next time, take care. Have a good Friday and a good weekend. Bye.